the ones who don't want things to change. If he rallies enough support, he could force a vote to end the trials. The trial of pain began at dawn. Jinho stood in the arena and looked at what awaited him. There were stations set up around the space. Each one represented a different test of endurance: fire, ice, pressure. Things that would hurt and keep hurting until he either completed the task or gave up. The rules were simple. He had to complete 5 challenges while enduring pain. The challenges themselves were easy. Move a small stone from one place to another. Tie a knot in a rope. Pour water from one cup to another. Simple tasks, but at each station something would be causing him pain the entire time. And if he cried out, if he begged to stop, if he showed weakness, he failed. Titans had pain tolerance that humans couldn't match. Their bodies were built to endure what would kill a human. Jinho knew this. Everyone knew this. The crowd was larger than for any previous trial. Daehyun sat with his supporters, arms crossed, a smug expression on his face. Taeyang sat with the other clan chiefs, his face carefully neutral. And Nari sat alone, her hands clenched tight. "Begin," the trial master said. The first station was fire. Jinho had to hold his hands in flame while he tied a ceremonial knot. The fire was magical, wouldn't burn his flesh away, but it hurt. It hurt like nothing he'd ever felt. Jinho put his hands in the flames and bit down on his tongue hard enough to draw blood. The pain in his mouth gave him something else to focus on. His hand screamed. The fire seemed to burn all the way to his bones, but he worked the rope. Over, under, through. His fingers barely responded. But he kept going. The knot was complete. He pulled his hands from the fire and moved to the next station. Ice. His bare feet had to stand on a surface colder than anything in nature while he poured water without spilling. His feet went numb almost immediately. Then they started to hurt. It felt like knives were cutting into his soles. The water pitcher shook in his hands. He thought about his father. About the old man's words: "Pain is just a signal, Jinho, it's information. Listen to it, but don't let it control you." He poured the water. Not a drop spilled. The third station was pressure. He had to put his arm in a device that would slowly crush it while he moved stones from one pile to another. The pressure increased with each stone. The bones in his arm creaked. Tears ran down his face, but he made no sound. He just kept moving stones. The fourth station was the worst. Needles. Tiny, sharp needles would pierce his skin while he had to remain perfectly still for a count of 100. The trial master would count. If Jinho moved, the count would reset. The needles went in. Jinho's entire body went rigid. Every muscle locked. He stared straight ahead and didn't breathe. Didn't blink. Didn't move. The needles felt like fire ants burrowing under his skin. The trial master counted. 1, 2, 3. Jinho's vision started to blur. Sweat poured down his face. The needles kept moving, kept piercing. His body screamed at him to move, to run, to make it stop. 47 or 48, 49. He thought about Nari. About her smile when he'd completed the first trial. About the way she'd defended him against Daehyun. About the possibility of something more. 97. 98. 99. 100. The needles withdrew. Jinho collapsed to his knees, gasping. "Stand," the trial master said. "One more challenge." Jinho forced himself to his feet. His body was shaking. Everything hurt. But he staggered to the final station. This one was simple. Hold a burning coal in his hand while he walked across the arena to ring a bell. That was all. Just walk while holding fire. Jinho picked up the coal. It seared his palm instantly. He started to walk. Every step was agony. The coal burned deeper. The smell of his own flesh made him gag. His legs barely worked. The arena seemed to stretch on forever. Halfway across, his knees buckled. He caught himself. Kept walking. 3/4 of the way, his vision went dark at the edges. He couldn't feel his hand anymore. That was probably bad. But the bell was right there. He reached it. Raised his arm. The movement made the coal shift in his palm, finding fresh skin to burn. He rang the bell. The sound echoed across the arena. Jinho let the coal fall and collapsed. The arena was silent. Then it erupted in sound. Not cheers this time. Something else. Medical attendants rushed forward. They had been prepared for this, had human-sized supplies. They treated his burns, his frozen feet, his crushed arm. Everything hurt, but nothing was permanently damaged. Taeyang stood. The human has passed the trial of pain. Never have I seen such determination in one so small. Daehyun stood as well. He passed by not making sound, but that is because humans are weak. A true Titan would have completed the trial faster, stronger. The trial is not about speed. Nari's voice cut through the noise. She stood and walked down to the arena floor. It is about endurance, about refusing to break. The human is a fraction of our size with a fraction of our natural resistance to pain. Yet he endured what would have stopped many Titans. She knelt beside Jinho. Gently, carefully, she lifted him in her arms. He was too exhausted to protest. This human has shown more courage than 43 Titan warriors, Nari said, looking at the crowd. He deserves respect, and I will hear no more challenges to his honor. Daehyun's face turned red. You defend him because you are blinded by... I defend him because he has earned it. Nari's voice shook the arena. If you doubt his worth, Daehyun, then issue a formal challenge and face the clan council. Otherwise, be silent. Daehyun looked around. Some Titans nodded in agreement with him. But more seemed to support Nari. He had miscalculated. The human's endurance had won hearts. This isn't over, Daehyun said. But he sat down. Jinho recovered over the next few days. Nari visited him every day, bringing food and sitting with him while he healed. They talked about everything. About Earth and Valdris Prime. About art and war. About the future. 2 more trials, Jinho said one evening. The trial of wisdom and the trial of heart. The trial of wisdom will be easier for you than for most Titans, Nari said. It's a riddle, a puzzle. Your mind is sharp. I'm not worried about that one. And the trial of heart? Nari was quiet for a moment. That one is different. You have to declare your true intentions before all the clans. Speak honestly about why you pursued the trials and what you hope to gain. That's easy. I'll just tell the truth. The truth is complicated. What do you mean? Nari looked at him. When you started these trials, you were trying to avoid a diplomatic disaster. You were trying to save Earth's alliance with my people. That was your intention, yes. And now? Her eyes were soft. What are your intentions now, Jinho? He thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, he admitted. Everything's gotten more complicated. I still want the alliance. I still want our peoples to work together. But there's more to it now. What more? Jinho met her gaze. You. Somewhere along the way, this stopped being just about passing trials. I actually want to know you better. I want to understand your culture. He trailed off, feeling foolish. You want what? Nari prompted gently. I want to see if this could actually work. You and me. I know it's crazy. I know there are 100 reasons why it shouldn't, but I can't help it. Nari smiled. Then that's what you tell them at the trial of heart. The trial of wisdom came first. Jinho stood before the eldest Titans, the keepers of ancient knowledge. They presented him with a riddle that had been passed down for generations. I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I, Jinho thought. Titans had been struggling with this riddle for centuries because they thought in terms of living things, of warriors and beasts and plants. But Jinho thought differently. Fire, he said. The elders looked shocked. How did you solve it so quickly? Because I wasn't thinking like a Titan, Jinho said. I was thinking like a human. We see patterns differently. We approach problems from different angles. That's not better or worse, just different. The eldest Titan, a woman named Heejin, nodded slowly. Wisdom is not just knowing the answer. It's understanding that there are many ways to find truth. You passed the trial, human. Then came the trial of heart. Every clan chief sat in the Great Hall. Every important Titan in the city attended. Daehyun sat in the front, his expression hostile. Taeyang sat on his throne, his face unreadable. And Nari sat beside her father, her hands folded, watching. Jinho stood in the center of the hall. So small, so alone. Human Jinho, Taeyang said. You have completed 6 of the 7 trials. You have shown strength and skill and wisdom. Now comes the final test, the trial of heart. You must speak true about your intentions. Why did you invoke the right of Kavathorn? What do you seek by completing these trials? This was it. The moment of truth. Jinho took a deep breath. I didn't know about the right of Kavathorn when I complimented Nari's armor, he began. I was just being honest. I saw beautiful work and I said so. That's how I was raised, to acknowledge when someone creates something meaningful. Murmurs in the crowd. When I was challenged to the trials, I accepted because I was afraid of failing my people. afraid of ruining Earth's chance at an alliance with Valdris Prime. I thought if I ran away, you would see humans as cowards." He paused, gathering courage. "But something changed as I faced each trial. I learned about your culture, your values, your history." Jinho woke up to find Minho staring at him. "What?" Jinho mumbled, still half asleep. "You've been here 3 weeks," Minho said. "You've passed 3 impossible trials, and now half the titans in the city are talking about you. That's good, right? Some of them are saying you're cheating." Jinho sat up. "I'm not cheating. I'm just using your brain instead of your muscles, I know." Minho sat down. "But there's a titan named Dae-hyun who's very loud about how humans are using technology and tricks instead of true strength. The trials don't say I can't use my brain. I know that." "You know that, but politics is politics," Minho sighed. "Just be careful. Hana says some of the clans are getting nervous about humans making them look bad." The next few days were strange. Jinho was given time to rest before the 4th trial, which he was grateful for. But the atmosphere in the city had changed. Some titans greeted him warmly now. They asked questions about Earth, about human methods, about how he thought of his solutions, but others watched him with suspicion. One evening, Jinho was walking through the market district with Saiwan. The huge market was filled with titans buying and selling goods. Food that could feed a family for a week. Tools that looked like they could build houses. Weapons that gleamed in the purple sunset. "The people are divided about you," Siwon said quietly. "Some think you bring new ideas. Fresh thinking. Others think you disrespect our traditions." "I'm not trying to disrespect anything," Jinho said. "I'm just trying to survive. I know. But change makes people nervous." Siwon stopped at a stall selling fruit. He bought something that looked like a purple melon and handed it to Jinho. "Here, it's sweet. You'll like it." Jinho took it gratefully. The fruit was delicious, though one piece was bigger than his head. That's when he saw her. Nari was across the market looking at metalwork. She was alone, which was unusual. Most important titans traveled with guards or attendants, but Nari seemed to value her privacy. Jinho found himself walking toward her without thinking. Saiwan followed, amused. "You're staring again," Siwon said. "That's how you got into this trouble in the first place." "I'm not staring," Jinho protested. Then quieter. "Is she always alone like this?" "Often. Nari says she thinks better when she's not surrounded by people telling her what to do." Siwon smiled. "She's not like other titans. Too independent. Too curious. It drives her father crazy." Nari noticed them approaching. She turned and Jinho saw she was holding a small sculpture. Well, small for a titan, it was the size of Jinho's torso. "Jinho," she said, "I didn't expect to see you here." "Just exploring the city," Jinho said. He looked at the sculpture. "That's beautiful. What is it?" "It's a piece from the southern clans. They're known for their art." She held it up so he could see better. The sculpture showed 2 figures, one large and one small, working together to hold up something heavy. "I thought it was appropriate," Jinho understood. "Because of the trials?" "Because of what the trials are teaching us." Nari set the sculpture down gently. "Walk with me?" They walked through the market together. Saiwan followed at a discreet distance, making sure they had space but staying close enough to be proper. Other titans stared as they passed. Some whispered. "I need to tell you something," Nari said. "There are titans who are not happy about your success." "I heard. It's more serious than you think." "Daehyun is gathering support. He says you're making a mockery of our customs, that humans are using technology and tricks to avoid true tests of worth." Jinho felt his stomach drop. "What does that mean?" "It means he might challenge your right to continue the trials." Nari's expression was troubled. "And if enough clans support him, the trials could be stopped. You could be expelled from Valdris Prime, but I haven't broken any rules." "No, you haven't. That's what makes this difficult." Nari stopped walking. They were in a quieter part of the market now, near a fountain that sprayed water high into the air. "Jinho, I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest." "Okay." She looked down at him. "That first day, when you complimented my armor, did you truly not know what it meant?" Jinho met her eyes. "I swear I didn't know. I just saw beautiful craftsmanship and wanted to say so. That's how my father raised me. If someone makes something with care, you acknowledge it." Nari was quiet for a moment. "I believe you." "You do?" "I've watched you for 3 weeks. I've seen how you approach problems, how you think. You're not manipulative or clever in a cruel way. You're just different." She smiled slightly. "Most titans who courted me talked about their strength, their victories, their prowess. They boasted and performed and tried to impress me with size and power. And I complimented your art. You saw me," Nari said. "Not just a warrior princess. Not just a challenge to be won. You saw the person who spent 3 years carefully crafting each piece of armor, who chose every symbol with meaning, who poured her heart into metal and stone." Jinho felt his face heat up. "I meant what I said. Your armor is incredible. The work you put into it shows. I know you did." "That's why—" Nari trailed off. She seemed uncertain, which was strange for someone so large and powerful. "That's why I'm going to help you. Help me. The 4th trial is in 2 days. It's the test of pain. It's designed to test physical endurance and tolerance for suffering." She looked away. "Jinho, you're going to hate it. And I can't change the trial, but I can teach you how to prepare for it. Why would you help me? Because you've earned my respect. Because watching you solve problems with your mind instead of your fist has been—" She searched for words. "Refreshing. Inspiring even." She looked back at him. "And because I think maybe I want to see where this goes." Jinho's heart started beating faster. "Where what goes?" "This us. This strange situation we've found ourselves in." Nari knelt down so she was closer to his height. She was still taller, but not as overwhelming. "I won't lie to you. I don't know if a relationship between a human and a titan could even work. Our peoples barely know each other. The size difference alone is complicated," Jinho said, "very complicated." Nari smiled. "But you've shown me that complicated doesn't mean impossible, just that you need to think differently about solutions." Before Jinho could respond, there was a commotion across the market. Loud voices shouting, a group of titans were approaching. At their head was a massive male, even larger than Taeyang. His armor was decorated with kill marks and battle scars. His face was angry. "That's Daehyun," Siwon said quietly, suddenly beside them. Daehyun strode up to them, his eyes fixed on Jinho with clear disdain. "So this is the tiny one who thinks he can mock our traditions." Daehyun's voice rumbled. "He mocks nothing." Nari stood, putting herself between Daehyun and Jinho. "He honors the trials in his own way." "His own way?" Daehyun laughed. "Using tricks and tools like a weak coward? That is not our way. That is not the Titan way." "The trials test worthiness," Nari said. Her voice was cold. "Not blind conformity. You defend him because you've grown soft, daughter of Taeyang. You've let this creature bewitch you with his strange words and stranger methods." Jinho stepped forward around Nari. His heart was pounding, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm not trying to bewitch anyone. I'm just trying to complete the trials I was challenged to face." Daehyun looked down at him. "You should not have been challenged in the first place. You are not worthy to even attempt the rites. You are an insect pretending to be a warrior." "That's enough." Nari's voice cracked like thunder. "Jinho has passed 3 trials fairly. He has broken no rules. If you have a formal challenge, present it to the council. Otherwise, you insult not just him, but me and my clan." Daehyun's eyes narrowed. "So you do favor the creature? The clans will hear of this. They will know that Taeyang's daughter has forgotten what it means to be Titan." "I forget nothing," Nari said. "I remember that our customs say intelligence is a form of strength. That cleverness has its place alongside power. If you've forgotten that, perhaps you should study our history more closely." Other Titans had gathered now. Some looked like they agreed with Daehyun. Others seemed to support Nari. The tension was thick enough to cut. Finally, Daehyun stepped back. "This is not over, tiny one. When you fail the trial of pain, as you surely will, the clans will see the truth. You are not worthy. You are nothing." He turned and left, his followers trailing behind him. Jinho let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "Well, that was fun." Nari looked down at him. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let him speak to you that way. You defended me. Thank you." "Of course I defended you." Nari's expression softened. "Jinho, you need to understand something. When you complete these trials, if you complete them, it's not just about you and me anymore. It's about what your success means for our peoples. Some Titans see it as an opportunity, a chance to learn from each other, and others see it as a threat." "Exactly." Nari looked tired suddenly. Change is hard, even when it's good. That night, Jinho sat with Minho and Hana in their quarters. "So you've got a giant angry Titan who wants you to fail, and a giant beautiful Titan who wants you to succeed," Minho summarized. And you're falling for the beautiful one. I didn't say I was falling for her, Jinho protested. You didn't have to. I've seen how you look at her. Minho grinned. It's cute. Terrifying, but cute. Hana was more serious. This is becoming political. Daehyun represents the conservative clans. The morning sun rose purple and gold over Valdris Prime. Jinho stood in the trial arena and tried not to throw up. The arena was massive, carved from solid stone. Hundreds of titans sat in rows above him, their faces curious or amused or bored. At the far end sat Taeyang and the other clan chiefs. And next to Taeyang, wearing her magnificent armor, sat Nari. She was watching him. Okay, Minho whispered. He stood with Jinho in the preparation area. You've got this. Remember the plan. The plan might not work, Jinho said. Then make a new plan. You're good at that. Minho squeezed his shoulder. I believe in you. A massive titan stepped into the arena. His voice boomed across the space. The first trial. The test of strength. The challenger must move the ancestor stone from the platform of earth to the platform of sky. He must do this before the sun crosses the midpoint. The titan gestured. Begin! Jinho walked to the center of the arena. The ancestor stone sat on a platform made of dark rock. It was roughly cube-shaped, about 6 feet on each side, carved with symbols so old they'd worn smooth. Across the arena, about 50 yards away, was another platform twice as high. 3 tons of stone. 1 small human. No tools allowed except what he could make from materials in the arena. The titans in the crowd began to laugh. Not cruelly exactly, more like watching something amusing. Like watching a mouse try to move a boulder. Jinho ignored them. He walked around the stone studying it. Then he looked around the arena. There were wooden posts at the edges, part of the arena's decoration. Rope hanging from hooks, sand and gravel in one corner. He could work with this. What's he doing? He heard a titan say. Standing there like a fool, another answered. This will be over soon. Jinho started to work. First, he went to the wooden posts. They were thick, meant to support banners during ceremonies. He tested one. Heavy, but he could move it if he dragged it. He pulled 2 of them to the stone. Then he got the rope. Lots of rope. The titans were confused now. Some stopped laughing. They watched with curiosity as Jinho tied the rope around the stone in careful knots. He created a harness, distributing the weight across multiple points. Clever, he heard someone say. Next came the hard part. Jinho wedged one of the wooden posts under the stone at an angle. He used rocks to create a fulcrum point. Then he climbed onto the far end of the post and jumped. Nothing happened. He tried again, and again. Sweat poured down his face. His legs ached. But slowly, incredibly slowly, the stone shifted. Just an inch, then another. He's using leverage, a Titan woman said, sounding surprised. Is that allowed? Another asked. The rules say he must move the stone, Taeyang's voice rang out. They do not say how. Jinho kept working. He adjusted the fulcrum, used the second post, created a ramp from sand and gravel. Inch by inch, foot by foot, he moved the 3-ton stone. It took hours. His hands bled. His muscles screamed. But he didn't stop. The sun climbed higher. Halfway to the platform, Jinho had to rest. He sat on the ground, breathing hard. The Titans had stopped laughing. They watched in silence now. Nari leaned forward in her seat. Jinho stood up and went back to work. He adjusted his ropes, changed his angles, used physics and stubbornness and sheer determination. When the stone reached the base of the high platform, he built a ramp, used the posts as rollers, pulled and pushed and leveraged. The sun reached its midpoint. With a final heave, the ancestor stone rolled onto the platform of sky. The arena erupted. Not in laughter this time. In cheers, Jinho collapsed to his knees. He'd done it. The first trial was complete. Taeyang stood. The human has passed the test of strength. Though he used methods we have never seen, he has honored the trial. Minho rushed into the arena and helped Jinho to his feet. You crazy, brilliant idiot. You did it. Jinho looked up at Nari. She was standing now, her eyes wide, and she was smiling. 3 days later, after Jinho had rested and his hands had healed, came the second trial, the test of the hunt. You must capture a Skara beast, Saiwan explained. He'd become Jinho's unofficial guide. Alive and unharmed, bring it back to the arena before sunset. What's a Skara beast? Jinho asked. Siwon showed him a picture. The creature looked like a mix between a wolf and a lizard, about the size of a horse. It had scales and claws and very sharp teeth. "They're fast," Siwon said, "and smart. Titans usually chase them down and wrestle them into submission." Jinho looked at his own arms, then at the picture of the beast. "I'm going to need a different approach," he said. He spent the morning studying. He talked to Titans who had hunted scarabeasts. He learned about their habits, their favorite foods, their behavior. He learned they were territorial but curious, aggressive but cautious. Then he went into the forest with nothing but rope in his brain. He found a scarabeast's territory by the marks on the trees. Deep claw scratches. He found its den by following the tracks. Then he waited and watched. The beast emerged at midday. It was even bigger than the picture had suggested. Its scales gleamed blue-green. Its eyes were intelligent. Jinho didn't try to fight it. Instead, he set a trap. He used local vines and rope to create a snare, but a special kind. One that would tighten gently, not hurt. He baited it with meat he'd brought from the city. Then he made noise in the bushes far from the trap. The scarabeast investigated the noise, found nothing, grew frustrated. Then it smelled the meat. It approached cautiously, sniffed. The trap sprung. The beast roared and thrashed. But Jinho had designed the snare to restrict without harming. He waited until the creature tired itself out, speaking softly the whole time. Calm sounds. Soothing. When the beast finally lay still, panting, Jinho approached slowly. He showed his empty hands. He offered more meat, not threatening, just patient. It took 2 hours, but eventually, the Skara beast allowed Jinho to lead it on a rope back to the arena. The Titans were stunned. "He didn't fight it," someone said. "He outsmarted it," another replied. Nari stood and walked down to the arena floor. She approached the Skara beast, which was now calmly eating meat from Jinho's hand. "How did you do this?" she asked. Jinho looked up at her. Even exhausted and dirty, he felt proud. "I learned its behavior. I used what it wanted against it. Then I made it trust me." "You made a wild beast trust you?" "Everything wants something," Jinho said. "If you give them what they want, sometimes they'll give you what you need." Nari stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled again. The human passes the second trial. The third trial came a week later. The test of the forge. Jinho stood in a smithy that made Earth's foundries look like toys. Everything was scaled for Titan hands. The hammers weighed as much as he did. The forge was hot enough to hurt from 10 feet away. "You must craft a weapon worthy of a warrior," the smith master said. His name was Do-hyun, and his arms were the size of tree trunks. "You have until the metal cools." Jinho looked at the tools. He couldn't lift the hammers. Couldn't work the bellows. Couldn't do any of this the way a Titan would, but he could do it his way. He asked for smaller tools. Do-hyun laughed but provided them. Children's tools meant for training young Titans. Jinho took the metal and studied it. Felt its weight. Thought about what he could make. Titans made big weapons. Heavy swords, huge axes. They valued weight and power. Jinho made something different. He crafted a knife. But not just any knife. He folded the metal the way his father had taught him, the old Korean method. He created layers upon layers, making the blade stronger than it looked. He carved patterns into the handle that meant something. Patterns from Earth, from his family, from his own culture. The blade was small, delicate compared to Titan weapons, but it was perfect, balanced, sharp enough to cut light. When he finished, he presented it to the judges. Do-hyun picked it up carefully between 2 massive fingers. He tested the edge. His eyes widened. "The craftsmanship," he said slowly. "It's extraordinary." He passed it to Taeyang. The clan chief examined it with the eye of someone who understood quality. "This is not a Titan weapon," Taeyang said. Jinho's heart sank. "This is better," Taeyang continued. "This is art and function combined. This is a weapon worthy of any warrior." He looked at Jinho. "How did you learn this?" "My father taught me," Jinho said. He said anything worth making is worth making well. Nari asked to see the knife. Taeyang handed it to her. She studied it in the light, turning it over, examining every detail. "The pattern," she said. "What does it mean?" "It's my family crest," Jinho said. "From Earth. The symbol means honor through perseverance." Their eyes met. "The human passes the third trial," Nari said softly. That night, as the city celebrated, Nari found Jinho sitting alone on a balcony. You're avoiding the celebration, she said. Jinho looked up. She was so tall, but somehow she didn't seem as intimidating as before. I'm tired, he admitted. And I still have 4 trials left. Nari sat down. The balcony creaked under her weight. No one expected you to pass even 1 trial. Including you? She smiled. Especially me. She looked out over the city. 43 Titans tried the trials. All of them were strong, fierce. They roared and beat their chests and promised to prove their worth. She paused. Not one of them looked at my armor and saw what you saw. What did I see? Art, Nari said simply. Love, care. You saw 3 years of my life in metal and stone, and you appreciated it. She looked at him. That's worth more than any trial. Jinho sat in his quarters and stared at the wall. He'd been staring for about 20 minutes now. It wasn't helping. Okay, Minho said, pacing back and forth. Okay, this is fine. This is totally fine. You just accidentally proposed to a 12-foot-tall alien warrior princess. People do that all the time. I didn't propose, Jinho said weakly. You basically did. Minho threw his hands up. According to them, anyway. The door slid open and Hana rushed in. She had a tablet in her hands and her hair was coming loose from its usual perfect bun. Jinho had never seen her look so frazzled. We have a problem, she said. I noticed, Jinho replied. Hana sat down and put the tablet on the table. I've been talking to Quan, our cultural liaison. He's been living with the Titans for 2 years, studying their customs. She took a deep breath. Jinho, what exactly did you say to Nari? I complimented her armor, Jinho said. I said the craftsmanship was extraordinary, and that the pattern honored her ancestors. Hana closed her eyes. And you looked at her while you said it? Well, yes. I was talking to her. And you were alone, not part of a group? I walked up to her specifically. Hana put her face in her hands. Oh no, what? Jinho felt his stomach drop. What does it mean? Minho stopped pacing. Yeah, what does it mean? Is it bad? It sounds bad, Hana looked up. On Valdris Prime, ancestral armor is sacred. It's passed down through families for generations. Each warrior adds their own marks to it, their own achievements. It represents their entire lineage. She paused, commenting on someone's ancestral armor, specifically praising how it honors their ancestors, while looking directly at them and approaching them alone. That's how Titans declare romantic interest. The room went quiet. You're joking, Jinho finally said. I wish I was. Hana pulled up information on her tablet. The rite of Kava Thorn is an ancient courtship custom. When someone invokes it, the recipient must either accept them as worthy or challenge them to prove their worth. Nari chose the challenge, but I didn't know. Jinho stood up. I didn't mean it that way. It doesn't matter, Hana said quietly. You said the words. You performed the actions. By their law, by their custom, you invoked the rite. Minho sat down heavily. So what happens now? The 7 trials of worthiness, Hana said. They were designed to test Titan suitors, to prove they're strong enough, brave enough, worthy enough to join the clan. She looked at Jinho. No one has ever completed them who wasn't a Titan. Great, Jinho said. Just great. There was a knock at the door. Hana opened it to find a Titan standing there. He was smaller than most, only about 9 feet tall, and his armor was less decorated. He bowed slightly. I am Quan's friend, C1, he said in careful English. Clan Chief Taiyang sends me. He wishes to speak with the human Jinho. Jinho's heart started racing again. Now? Now. The walk through the Titan city was surreal. Buildings rose around them like mountains. Titans moved through streets wide enough to land a plane on. Some stared at Jinho as he passed. Others ignored him completely. A few laughed. C1 led him to a smaller building near the Great Hall. Inside, Taeyang sat alone. The huge Titan was drinking something from a cup the size of a bucket. Sit, human Jinho, Taeyang said. He gestured to a chair that had clearly been brought in specially. It was still too big, but at least Jinho didn't have to climb onto it. Thank you, Clan Chief. Taeyang studied him for a long moment. You are afraid. It wasn't a question. Jinho saw no point in lying. Yes, good, fear is honest. Taeyang took a drink. You truly did not know our custom? No, sir. I only meant to compliment your daughter's armor. It's beautiful work. Something that might have been a smile crossed Taeyang's face. It is, isn't it? Nari crafted it herself, every piece. It took her 3 years. He set down his cup. She is my only daughter. Strong, skilled, honorable. Many Titans have tried to court her. All have failed the trials. How many trials have there been? In the last 5 years? 43. Jinho felt sick. And none of them passed? 2 made it to the 4th trial. Most fail the first, Taeyang leaned forward. The trials were made for Titans, human. For warriors who can lift boulders and fight wild beasts with their bare hands. You are. He paused, searching for words. You are very small. I know. You will probably die. I know that too. Taeyang sat back. Then why accept? Why not leave? There is no shame in admitting you made a mistake. Jinho thought about it. He could leave. Go back to Earth. Let someone else try to negotiate with the Titans. But the Titans respected strength and courage. If he ran away now, they would never respect humanity. Earth would lose its chance at this alliance. And there was something else. Something he barely wanted to admit to himself. When he'd looked at Nari's armor, when he'd seen the care and skill in every detail, he'd felt genuine admiration. And when she'd challenged him, there had been something in her eyes. Not mockery, not cruelty, a test. I accepted because my people need this alliance, Jinho said. And because I don't want the Titans to think humans are cowards. Taeyang picked up his cup again. You have courage. That is something. He was quiet for a moment. I will tell you a secret, human. I do not want you to die. It would be bad for our people's friendship. But I cannot stop the trials. Custom is custom. The law is law. I understand. Do you? Taeyang's eyes were sharp again. Let me be clear. The trials are dangerous. They will test your body and your mind and your spirit. Most fail because they try to be what they are not. They try to match Titan strength with Titan methods. He leaned forward again. You cannot win by being a Titan. You are human. Be human. Jinho blinked. What? The trials test worthiness. Not strength alone, worthiness. Taeyang stood. Think on that. Now go. Rest. Tomorrow the first trial begins. Back in his quarters, Jinho told the others what Taeyang had said. Be human, Minho repeated. What does that mean? I think it means we can't win by fighting like they fight, Jinho said slowly. We have to find another way. Hana pulled up files on her tablet. I have information on previous trials. Not complete, but enough to get ideas. She scrolled through. The first trial is always the test of strength. You have to move the Ancestor Stone from one platform to another. How big is this stone? About 3 tons, Minho whistled. You can't lift 3 tons? No, Jinho said. But maybe I don't have to lift it. Maybe I just have to move it. They stayed up late into the night. Hana pulled up everything she could find about physics and leverage. Minho sketched designs. Jinho remembered his engineering classes from university. Remembered watching his father move heavy pottery kilns with clever positioning and wooden poles. Outside, the strange purple sun of Valdris Prime set below the horizon. In her own quarters somewhere in the city, Nari sat and polished her armor. She thought about the small human who had looked at her work and seen what others missed, who had seen the care and the history and the love she'd poured into every piece. She thought about his eyes when he'd accepted the challenge. Afraid, yes, but determined. 43 Titans had tried the trials for her hand. All of them had been strong and fierce and proud. Not one of them had ever complimented her craftsmanship. Nari smiled slightly in the darkness. Perhaps this would be interesting after all. Jinho had never felt so small in his entire life. The great hall of Valdris Prime stretched above him like a cathedral made for gods. Every surface gleamed with metal and stone, carved with patterns that hurt to look at for too long. The ceiling disappeared into shadow so high that Jinho couldn't see where it ended. And everywhere he looked, there were giants. The Titans of Valdris Prime stood between 10 and 15 feet tall. Their shoulders were broad enough that 2 humans could sit side by side on them. Their hands could crush a human skull like an egg. Jinho tried not to think about that as he walked beside Ambassador Hana through the massive doorway. Remember the briefing? Hana whispered. She barely came up to Jinho's shoulder, but somehow she always seemed bigger than she was. Be polite. Be respectful. Don't stare. And for heaven's sake, don't touch anything. I know, Jinho said. He tugged at his formal diplomatic jacket. It felt too tight. Everything felt too tight. His heart was hammering in his chest. Behind them, Minho snorted. Relax, Jinho. What's the worst that could happen? They squash us like bugs? That's not helping, Jinho hissed. The human delegation consisted of just 5 people. 5 tiny humans in a hall full of giants who looked like they could break mountains with their bare hands. The Titans wore armor that gleamed under the strange purple light of their homeworld sun. Some had weapons strapped to their backs, swords as long as Jinho was tall, hammers that probably weighed more than a car. This was humanity's first official contact with the Titan clans. 3 months of careful negotiations had led to this moment. Earth needed allies. The galaxy was bigger and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Titans were warriors, yes, but they were also honorable. They kept their word. They protected their friends, if humanity could make friends with them. A massive Titan stepped forward. His armor was decorated with symbols that seemed to move in the light. His face was weathered and scarred, but his eyes were sharp. Humans, his voice boomed. I am Taeyang, chief of the Stone Wind clan. You stand in the Hall of Ancestors. Show respect and respect will be shown. Hana bowed. The other humans bowed. Jinho bowed so low he thought his back would break. We are honored, Clan Chief Taeyang, Hana said. Her voice didn't shake at all. Earth sends its greetings and hopes for friendship between our peoples. Taeyang nodded slowly. We shall see. The elders will judge if the tiny ones are worthy of our attention. The reception began. Titans moved through the hall like walking towers. Human delegates tried to make conversation, but it was difficult when you had to crane your neck just to see someone's face. Jinho found himself pushed to the side, overwhelmed by the sheer size of everything. That's when he saw her. She stood near a pillar, watching the crowd with sharp eyes. She was tall even for a Titan, perhaps 12 feet from head to toe. Her armor was different from the others. Where theirs was practical and scarred from battle, hers was a work of art. The metal had been shaped into flowing patterns that looked like water and wind. Symbols covered every inch, each one precise and beautiful. The craftsmanship was incredible. Jinho found himself walking toward her without thinking. He'd always appreciated good work. His father had been a craftsman back on Earth, making traditional Korean pottery. Jinho had grown up learning to spot quality, to see the care and skill in handmade things. The Titan woman noticed him approaching. Her eyes narrowed. Jinho's mouth went dry. What was he doing? He should turn around. Go back to Hana, don't make waves. But his feet kept moving. He stopped a respectful distance away and bowed. Forgive the interruption, he said. His voice sounded tiny in the huge hall. I couldn't help but notice your armor. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. The pattern honors your ancestors beautifully. The words came out naturally. It was what his father would have said. A simple, honest compliment about someone's work. The hall went silent. Jinho looked up. Every Titan in the room was staring at him. The massive warriors had stopped moving. The conversations had died. Even the strange music playing in the background seemed to fade away. The Titan woman's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened slightly. Then her face changed. Surprise became something else. Shock, anger? Jinho couldn't tell. She slammed her fist down on the stone table beside her. The crack echoed through the hall like thunder. You dare? Her voice shook the air. You dare invoke the right of Kavathorn? Jinho's brain stuttered to a halt. What? Do you mock me, tiny one? She stepped forward. Each footstep sounded like drums. Do you think because you are small you can play games with sacred customs? I don't. Jinho tried to speak, but his throat had closed up. Hana was suddenly beside him, though he hadn't seen her approach. Please, honored warrior, there has been a misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding. The Titan woman's voice filled the hall. This human has spoken the words. He has looked upon my ancestral armor and declared his intentions. By the laws of my people, by the customs of my clan, I am Nari, daughter of Taeyang, and I demand this human complete the 7 trials of worthiness. The hall erupted. Titans shouted to each other in their booming voices. Some laughed. Others looked shocked. Taeyang stood from his seat, his face unreadable. Minho appeared at Jinho's other side. What did you do? He whispered urgently. I just said her armor was nice, Jinho whispered back. His hands were shaking. Nari pointed one massive finger at him. You will face the 7 trials. You will prove you are not mocking my lineage, or you will admit yourself a coward and leave this world in shame. Taeyang raised his hand. The hall fell silent again. My daughter speaks truth, he said slowly. The human has invoked our custom, knowingly or not. The words have been spoken. The challenge has been made. He looked at Jinho with those sharp eyes. What say you, tiny one? Will you accept the trials or will you flee? Jinho's mind raced. He looked at Hana, she looked terrified. He looked at Minho, who just shrugged helplessly. He looked at Nari, who was staring at him with an expression he couldn't read. 3 months of negotiations. Earth's first alien alliance, all of it hanging on this moment, and he'd broken it all with a compliment about someone's armor. But if he refused, if he ran away, the Titans would never respect Earth. They would see humans as cowards, weaklings, not worthy of their time. Jinho took a deep breath. His father's voice echoed in his memory. If you make a mistake, own it. Face it head on. He straightened his spine and looked up at Nari. I accept your challenge, he said. His voice only shook a little. I will face your 7 trials. The hall exploded with noise again. But this time Jinho thought he heard something different in it. Not just mockery, perhaps a hint of respect. Nari's expression shifted slightly. Was that approval in her eyes? Then it is decided, Taeyang declared. Let the trials begin at dawn. May the ancestors watch over us all. As the Titans began to talk among themselves, Minho leaned close to Jinho. You know you're probably going to die, right? Jinho watched Nari turn and walk away, her beautiful armor catching the light. Probably, he agreed. But he couldn't back down now.